It seems that Canada wants to participate in Mexico's invasion of the United States.
What? Canada helping Mexico invade the U.S., says Republican firebrand Marjorie Taylor Greene.
As many of these Mexicans are obtaining an electronic travel authorization.
Authorization? No, it's authorization.
To fly into Canada, and they get that approved within minutes, and then they end up coming into the United States.
So what should we do about an invasion of the United States? At another congressional committee hearing, Greene was blunt.
As a matter of fact, I've co-sponsored legislation to declare war on the cartels because they are definitely declaring war on us, the American people, and our Border Patrol agents.
In an interview, Greene said, forget about Europe, focus on the U.S.
All we hear in Washington, Steve, is war in Ukraine, war in Ukraine. We've got our own Republicans like Lindsey Graham and many others out there drumming beating the drum for war every single day in Ukraine, when the real drum we should be beating for war is the one against the Mexican cartels, because that's the one I'm beating.
A war against the Mexican cartels and their allies in Canada. Bombs? Missiles? U.S. troops rolling into the south and north? At the moment, Greene is not offering operational details. But here are some facts. There has indeed, according to the CBC, been an increase in migrants entering the U.S. through Canada. Republicans have started raising it as an issue, part of their campaign against what they call the Biden administration's lax border policies. In that process, some have cherry-picked the data. They've made the numbers sound more dramatic by comparing them to early in the pandemic when there was little travel. The number of apprehensions is indeed up significantly from the last few years, but even at the current pace, Border Patrol agents would stop fewer than 9,000 people coming from Canada this year. That's less than in the early 2000s, and a rounding error compared to the more than 2 million on the Mexican border. In other words, when Marjorie Taylor Greene describes an invasion from Canada, she has no idea what she's talking about. Lumping the Canadian border migrant issue with the Mexican border migrant issue is ludicrous. But again, we're talking about Georgia Republican Marjorie Taylor Greene, and basic intellectual capacity has never really been one of her strengths. To be clear, I wouldn't necessarily oppose a war on Canada or an invasion. I have lots of relatives up there, and I'd love to grab their hockey players and force them to be Americans. Relatedly, have you ever had good poutine in the United States? The dish of fries, cheese curds, and brown gravy, as it is served up north, is worth the annexation of Quebec. Trust me. And who wouldn't like to make America a bit more polite and kind? Add some Canadians into our U.S. mixing bowl, and we will all be happy, eh? In all seriousness, let's not pretend there's a migrant problem because of Canada. Our neighbors to the north are our largest trading partners and closest allies, and they do a fine job of helping to patrol and protect the U.S.-Canadian border. So I would like to personally apologize to all of Canada for Marjorie Taylor Greene. I'm sure you can appreciate America's embarrassment and shame over her and a few others in the U.S. political system. They do not speak for most of us. Their wacky proposals are unauthorized or unarthorized, as Greene would say. Lord help us. By the way, Marjorie Taylor Greene is in some trouble for publicizing border surveillance information the United States wanted to keep confidential.
I understand, Chief Ortiz, but I'm not going to be confidential because I think people deserve to know.
Check out that story at the link below. I'm David Shuster. Thanks for joining us.